There is no Fabio, only Zul. It's me. Relax. I'm not dead. Just it was time to get rid of the beard for now. But I still got the stubble, so can't complain. But welcome back, everyone. This is part 24. Yes, part 24 of my 2026 VHS collection overview. So we're still working on top of the desk here, or the dresser, or whatever it is. So we will just get into it. We'll get rocking and rolling, and we'll see what happens. So we'll start over here because all of this was the stuff that I had on top of this row here, and then the little bit that was in this row, because most of this row on the bottom was all UFC VHS, which we already covered. So I just moved those out of the way before recording here just to make it a little bit easier. And let's go. Let's do it. So first up, we have Sleepy Hollow High, which I have never seen before, but I got it for $3. I want to say I got this at a Creature Feature weekend. One of the conventions I got this at, but I'm pretty sure it was Creature Feature. But yeah, this was put out by Sterling, who did a lot of these budget releases on VHS and DVD. But the reason why I got this is because this movie was actually shot not too far from here. I believe this was shot in Frederick, Maryland, or nearby Frederick, Maryland, which another movie, a more famous movie, was also shot there, which I think we'll be getting into. It's not in this stack. It's not in any of these stacks. Where is it? I know I have it. Oh, okay. We'll get to that later. But there's another much more famous film that was shot in the similar area. So that's why I grabbed this. And again, it was $3. You know, if I like it, cool. If not, it's not that big of a deal. Then I had previously mentioned this, but I do have Waxwork 2, Lost in Time. I just have not watched it yet, so there you go. One of these nights I'll do a double feature, and this is a former Blockbuster rental, so there you go. But I like both of the Waxwork movies. I think I kind of like them about evenly, so to speak. But yeah, I will like I said, I'll do like a double feature one night and watch them both on VHS. So there you go. And then we have, since I recently completed this, I do have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies on VHS, the ones I actually like. Like I said before, we already covered it. I do have a custom release of the first movie. There it is, which, again, I already covered that one, so there you go. But this one is Dark Sky, when they did that. Actually, since it's right here, if it wants to behave, yeah, when they did the chainsaw, the actual chainsaw box set a couple years ago, they had that in there as a VHS. So got the movie on Blu-ray and VHS, and they did. This is the artwork on this is the original Wizard video, which good luck trying to get that one on VHS. I don't know if the back is the same artwork or not. So there you go, because now a lot of these studios and such are putting movies back out on VHS as a gimmick. I know they put Alien Romulus on of all the movies they released, they put Alien Romulus on VHS. And I know Terrifier 2 and 3, I think, got VHS releases, so they're doing that now. It's just, why can't it be for good movies? Why has it got to be for shitty movies that I don't like? Don't know. Anyway, and then I do have the MGM Movie Time release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And this is also sealed because it was a hell of a lot cheaper to get this than it is to get the original media release. I would like to get the original media releases for 1 and 2, but I'm not paying $60, $70, $80 plus to get them, and they're in terrible shape. So, I actually like to have all my stuff in good shape for the most part. And, I don't want to pay a fortune to get them. So for now, I went with the cheaper route to get this. So there you go. But I do remember seeing this, Walmart, Kmart, in the video stores and such back in the day. And again, this was back in the, 90s and the early 2000s, late 90s actually, because this is 1998. So, but I remember, like, wait, Dennis Hopper was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2? I didn't know that, because again, there was no internet and all that good stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. I guess I have to watch it then, because I've always liked Dennis Hopper. Always thought he was a great actor and great director as well. And then I do have Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. This is the uncut, well, as uncut as it can be, uncut version. And this is a former Blockbuster rental, so I guess because Blockbuster, again, they had this weird policy where sometimes if the movie was unrated, they would carry it, sometimes they wouldn't. I think as time went on, they dropped that policy, because I remember, they would have, in the DVD era, they would have the rated and unrated versions. But they did have kind of a weird policy again. Sometimes they would have it only in the R-rated cut. Sometimes they would have the unrated cut. It just depended. But as I said, I think later they just said, fuck it, we'll carry whatever. So there's that. But got Texas Chainsaw 3, which I do like. I do like the first 3 Texas Chainsaws. Next Generation, And then after that, kind of meh for the most part. Except this, I do like the remake. I know that, well, the 2003 remake, because at this point, I mean, pretty much after this, it was basically a remake, after each time. But again, I know there's people out there that don't like this movie. I do. I didn't see it until a few years ago, finally. But I actually quite enjoyed it. I do think it is one of the better horror remakes out there. That's just me. But after that, Texas Chainsaw, the beginning, I thought was okay. That actually got a VHS in Korea, in South Korea rather, because they actually still supported VHS for a while. And what was after that? Then I get confused after that, because after that it was Texas Chainsaw 3D, which I thought was fucking terrible. Then there was, I think it was just called Leatherface, which was the prequel with Steven Dorff, which was supposed to go to theaters, and then they released it on demand or something to that effect. That one wasn't good. And then the 2022 remake, I thought was fucking hilariously bad. And then now they're trying to do it again. They're trying to remake it again or make another sequel or whatever, because Hollywood doesn't have any fucking ideas, which I've been saying for quite a while, but nobody wanted to listen. Oh well. Moving on, then we have Dog Soldiers, my favorite werewolf film. This is a former Blockbuster rental, which I believe, if I am not mistaken, back in the day, I believe Dog Soldiers was a Blockbuster exclusive for rental. If I am not mistaken, I believe that it was. Not sure where I got this. Not sure if I got this off of eBay or at a convention or a thrift store. And I don't remember where I got this, but love Dog Soldiers. Need to get the Blu-ray. I only have it on VHS and DVD as of now, but definitely want to get that overseas Blu-ray from Second Sight, because they knocked it out of the park with that. Then we have the second best shark movie next to Jaws, which of course is Deep Blue Sea. I did get this at a Goodwill, as you can see. So there you go. But always had fun with this. Always really enjoyed this movie. Speaking of Blu-rays, I do want to get the Arrow release of this, because it's got new extras and everything. But always had fun with this movie. Always had a good time. Deep Blue Sea is on Laserdisc, but it is a late title and it's very expensive. Every time you go on eBay to see it, it's like the cheapest I've seen is probably $500. And I like the movie, and I would love to have it on Laserdisc, but I'm not paying $500 to get it. So there you go. And then we have Dark City. Always had fun with this. The first time I actually saw this movie, I was in, I think I was a junior or a senior in high school. I can't remember, but they had a sci-fi movie club, and I did it for 2 years. I think it was my junior and my senior year, and I can't remember which year we watched this, but I did see it in there for the first time. I got this at the local mom and pop, the last local mom and pop video store when they were selling all their tapes off. I went in there and grabbed this. I do have that on Blu-ray. I would like to get the Arrow release because there's a bunch of new extras. And that is on Laserdisc as well. It does get a little pricey because I think it is a later title, but I don't need it right now. Then, pick this up at Goodwill because I was always curious about this movie. I've never seen it. But it is Queen of the Damned, which the only thing that people talk about this movie or remember this movie for is it was the last movie with Alea. She had finished all her scenes before she died, but there are parts of the movie where they did not, because again, she had passed away, they could not get her to do ADR, so they got her brother, because apparently her and her brother, their voices were very similar. So he went in and finished it, and then they tweaked it a little bit to make it sound like her. So I did not know that, but that is the only thing that people remember from this movie or talk about this movie. Like I said, I was always curious about it because I do remember when this came out. I do remember when Alea passed away. So I just, out of curiosity, always wanted to check this movie out. So found it at a Goodwill on VHS. If I liked the movie, cool. If not, it was $1 or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. So there's that. Then we have, speaking of vampires, I do have the Dracula trilogy that Wes Craven, I know he produced, I think he did all of these. I don't think he produced it. It just says Wes Craven presents. So I think he just put his name on. Well, no, the first one he produced it. So maybe the sequels he didn't produce. Maybe they just let him use his name or what have you. So we have Dracula 2000, which this is a former Blockbuster rental. It does have a Goodwill sticker on it, but I don't think I got it there. I think I got it at a horror convention, if I'm not mistaken. But there you go. But I like this movie. Is it the greatest vampire movie ever? No. Is it the worst? No. I've definitely seen worse. But I like it okay. It's got a good cast in it. You know, it's got a good soundtrack. I know they had a deal with Virgin Megastore, so there's a lot of product placement for this movie, or for that in this movie, which people make fun of. It's just like Terminator 2. There's so much Pepsi product placement because they had a deal with Pepsi. But, you know, it is what it is. That's just how the movie business works, you know. Oh, well. Then we have Dracula 2 Ascension, which these are okay. I like that Jason Scott Lee is in these movies as a priest that slays vampires, but I don't like what they did in the next movie to his character. So there you go. And also, Patrick Lussier directed these, who was Wes Craven's editor, I think, for the last bunch of movies that he did. I think Vampire in Brooklyn forward, he edited, I think, pretty much all his movies, and then he directed on his own. I'm trying to see if Wes Craven's... Yeah, so he's listed as an executive producer on the first one. Here it just says presents. How much involvement he actually had with the first one, I don't know. But here they probably just asked him, can we use your name on it, and paid him a bunch of money, and he said yeah. So there you go. But Roy Scheider's in this, Jason London, who I've always liked, Craig Sheffer. So there's a bunch of good, you know, actors in these movies. But again, they're not the greatest movies, and they're certainly not the worst vampire movies. I have definitely seen worse. So there's that. And then the third one, Legacy, never came out on VHS retail. It only came out as a screener. So I did find that online as well. And then Roy Scheider and Jason London come back for this one, and then Rutger Hauer is in this as Dracula. I think the second one, if I remember correctly, it's been a little while since I've seen these. I think Dracula is played by just some random actor in the second movie, and he's not really a feature of it. Gerard Butler played him in the first movie, and then I guess because Rutger Hauer was available and they met the price, they got him to do that one. So there you go. And then we have the Dark Castle, right? Dark Castle, the first couple movies that they did back in the day, which I know these are kind of getting a little bit of a resurgence. But that's okay, I guess. So first up, we have House on Haunted Hill, which I don't think I've ever seen this one in its entirety. I think I've just seen parts of it, bits and pieces of it. So yeah, I don't think I've seen all of this, but that's okay. All right. And actually, all three of these I got at the last local mom and pop video store when they were going belly up. So there we go. Then we have 13 Ghosts, which I do have this on Blu-ray. I do like this movie for what it is. I know that there's people that don't like it, and there's people that do like it. I think Matthew Lillard said he wasn't a fan of this movie, but I enjoyed it for what it is. I can't complain. And I've never seen the originals, so I can't comment. Same with House on Haunted Hill. So there you go. And then we have Ghost Ship, which was not a remake. This was an original story that they did. But there is a couple older horror movies that there were elements that they took kind of from those. So I guess in a way you could look at it as kind of a pseudo remake of some of those other movies. But this one I don't think I've seen the entirety of the movie either. So that's okay. No big deal. Got them for a quarter a piece, you know what I mean? So it's not that big of a deal if I don't like it. Then we have the first two Scream movies, the other copy of Scream that I have. So this one is... So again, what they did, because the movie was a big deal when it came out, it was a sleeper hit, and it, rewrote the book on horror and everything, which, I've always liked the first two Scream movies. I've always really enjoyed. After that, I could really give a fuck. Scream 3, I could just never get into, because I think it has too much comedy, and I think at that point, it was already starting to wear its welcome. Scream 4, I don't like as much as I used to, and it is kind of shitty that was Wes Craven's last movie, I will say that. And then Scream 5 and 6, I could not give a fuck about, because I reviewed each of those on the old channel and didn't care, and I don't give a fuck about Scream 7. Apparently, not many other people gave a shit about Scream 7 either, so there's that. But the first two, I still really enjoy, I still love to this day. When the Scream came out on VHS, they did all these different incarnations and everything. The other one that I have was the cast. It was the poster, and then they did this one is the Drew Barrymore cover. So then they did Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell, and they had this blue motif on there. And then they also did a box set that came out that's pretty hard to come by, that had the movie on tape 1, and then tape 2 was the movie with the commentary, which is pretty cool. And I believe all of the VHS releases are the director's cut. Now, they don't say it, and on the back it says rated R, but I told the story about the other one that I have, and then when I got this, I actually got this in a collection. It was this, there was a release of Halloween that I didn't need, I think there was a release of Jaws that I didn't need, and then it was Evil Dead was in there. The reason why I got it is because it was the bigger box release of Phantasm, the original VHS release of Phantasm, which we'll get into. And I think there might have been a couple other movies in there. But when I got this, I watched it, and this is the unrated director's cut version. So there you go, no big deal. But I think all of the VHS releases might be the unrated cut. Am I going to go out and buy the Courtney Cox and the Nev Campbell versions? Probably not. But the box set I do want to get at some point. But this is still cool to have. So there you go. Like I said, I bought it in a collection. So there's that. And then I do have, of course, Scream 2, because it's really the only sequel that I like. And again, I know that people will argue and say, well, they didn't need a sequel and this and that, but I really enjoyed this one. Other than the fact how they killed off Jamie Kennedy, which I was never a fan of, which I always thought was stupid. Yes, I know why they did it. It was to show you that anyone can die at any moment. I get that. But I don't like it. Just because they did it doesn't mean I have to like it. So there's that. But other than that, I still quite enjoy Scream 2. After this, I could really care less, to be honest. So that's just me. But I did get that at the local mom and pop video store, the last one again, when they were going out of business. I had another copy of it, but I found that at a Goodwill. I got rid of that one and kept this one because it was more sentimental, so to speak. And then we have a couple Scream-like films here. I do have the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies here. So first up we have the original, which I know most people enjoy this movie. I quite like this one. I've always quite enjoyed this film. And I don't know what's up with, like, my VHS of Men in Black and this all have, like, these scratches on it. I don't know if you're going to get to see them on the camera. I don't know what that's about. I don't know why that's like that. But, oh well. But, again, I quite enjoyed this one. And I do like the sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't think it's as good as the first, but I do like it for what it is. That's just me. After this, I could give a shit less. I tried to watch I Know, or I Still Know, or I'll Always Know, or what? I'll Always Know, because this one's I Still Know. I Always Know What You Did Last Summer. I watched about 30 minutes of that movie, and I turned it off. I couldn't get into it. And then I didn't even bother to watch the sequel remake that came out, I think, last year. Yeah, it was last year. Which apparently not many people thought highly of that movie either, because it didn't do that well. It didn't make as much money as they were hoping, and everybody shit on it. So there's that. And those I got at the local mom and pop store when they were going out of business as well. And then we do have the Urban Legend movies here, which I do actually quite like both of these as well. I think Urban Legend's kind of underrated, because you don't really hear people talk about it. You don't really hear people bring it up as much as Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer. So there's that. So we have this one. I think I got both of these off of eBay, if I'm not mistaken. But really enjoy this one. Like I said, I do think it's a little more on the underrated side. That's just my opinion. And then I actually thought that Urban Legend's Final Cut was a pretty damn good sequel. I think I like both about equally. It's like with Waxwork and some of the other movies we talked about. But yeah, I think this one's pretty good too. Good follow-up. One night I would love to, now that the weather's getting a little nicer, a little warmer, I would like to watch Scream 2, I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, and Urban Legend's Final Cut. Do a little marathon, all night horror movie marathon. One of these nights we'll do that. Next up we have Phantom of the Opera. This is the Robert Englund version, which was produced by 20th Century Film Corporation, which again was Menachem Golan's company after he left Canon Films. So I actually really enjoy this. I think this is pretty underrated. I think it's pretty good. Now, it did not do anything when it came out, box office wise or popularity wise, but there we go. It does have a little bit of a cult following, which is nice. But I remember I was walking around to FYE one day with a friend of mine, and I started talking about this movie, and one of the people that worked there overheard, and he went and got it off the shelf for me, and I bought it because it was like $5 or something. I was like, cool, because I did not have the movie at that point. Um, but I do like this film, and I got this at one of the horror conventions a couple years ago when I actually used to still go to all of them. Somebody, because Dead Pit did that great video where they were talking about the prices and everything, which, yeah, is definitely a problem. But I left a comment. I said, it's just not really fun anymore. You know, most of the people that go to these shows are the posers, and they don't know anything about horror. They don't want to know anything about horror. They just want to look cool on TikTok or whatever, and, you know, it ruins it. And somebody recently asked me that as well. They're like, are you still going to go? I said, not really. I mean, if it's a group of people that are there that I would like to actually really want to meet, then yeah, I'll go. But if it's the same people again and again and again and again, and they're charging more and more money each time, I'm not going. It's just not going to happen. You know, could I go for the vendors and stuff? Yeah, sure. But also driving 2-3 hours to these shows, you know, Creature Feature is great because it's in Gettysburg. Gettysburg is only 30 minutes from where I live, so it's not that big of a deal. But, you know, it's not the same, and it's not getting any better. So there you go. Because a lot of people always ask me, you know, are you going to go to this show? Are you going to go to that show? It just depends. You know, I can only meet the same people so many number of times, and I'm not paying hundreds of dollars to meet them and get a picture with them and everything. Because, like I said, each time you go, it's more and more money, and I'm not made of money. So there's that. So we'll move on. But next up, we have Deep Rising, which is still sealed. I think I got this off of eBay. I did actually have a screener of Deep Rising back in the day, but it didn't have anything special on it. I think it just had some trailers for some other movies that were coming out, but it didn't have a screener promo for Deep Rising. And then a lot of screeners, what they would do is they would show parts of the movie in black and white to stop people from bootlegging them to get them out early. So I got rid of that one, and I did get the retail copy. Again, I think I just snagged this off of eBay for a couple bucks, brand new. So there you go. But love Deep Rising, one of my all-time favorite Creature Features. I actually would like to watch that sometime soon here, because why not? Then I have the Watchers trilogy, because I never bothered to watch the fourth movie, because I heard it was, watch with the Watchers. I never bothered to watch the fourth movie because I heard it was terrible. So, but I do like the first three. So we have the first one with Corey Haim, which is in really, really nice shape. It still has the shrink on it. Again, whoever had this before me did what I do and just cut the bottom off, but it's in really good shape. Cannot complain. But I really like this one. I do quite enjoy this one. Unfortunately, it's stuck on DVD. There is some bootleg Blu-rays that are out there if you want to look into that. But for whatever reason, this one has never come out on Blu-ray. I think, from what I understand, I think Universal Studios owns that movie. I could be wrong. The rights may have changed hands. Again, I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But I believe, again, Universal Studios owns that film, so that would be up to them. Roger Corman had access to the other movies. That's why Watchers 2 came out on Blu-ray from Suck Factory, you know, because he still had control of that. And speaking of that, I do have Watchers 2 on VHS, which is the one that I prefer because you get Mark Singer, the Beastmaster, kicking some monster ass. So there you go. But the first two I really like. I really enjoy. Can't go wrong with Watchers 2, at least in my book. So there's that. And then I do have Watchers 3, because I did get this at one of the horror conventions pretty cheap. This one is on DVD, but for whatever reason, I guess because it's a horror movie, the DVD is pretty expensive, so you got to shop around and see if you can find one. But it's not as good as the first two, but I do like it because it's kind of like a Predator knockoff, and Wings Hauser is the lead, is the star, so I can't really complain. So you got Wings Hauser in a Predator knockoff. I'm in. My kind of movie. So there you go. And then I do have the Massacre movies, at least the ones that I have here. So first two, I got these at Creature Feature a couple years ago, last time I went. So we have Slumber Party Massacre, which the guy that was selling these, he put them in like these Ziploc bags, which I thought was cool. And yes, I did pay $60 to get it, sorry. But it is resealed because it was a rental copy, but that's okay. But quite enjoy the original Slumber Party Massacre. I did get to meet Michael Valia, who was the killer in the movie, I think at that show. And nice guy, very nice guy. Sadly, he has since passed away. I think he passed away last year. But very nice dude. And we talked a little bit about the movie and stuff. And he actually, he was Italian, nice fellow Italian guy. And he was talking about his house in Italy and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. And then I do have Slumber Party Massacre 2, which is pretty fun. But they should have got Andrew Dice Clay to play the killer, because that's basically who the killer was. But I guess they either did not ask him or he said no. But I have a lot of fun with these movies. They know what they are. They're Roger Corman movies. You know what you're getting yourself into. But they are pretty fun, if I do say so myself. And then I do have the unrated version, because the first one I don't think had any issues. I think Slumber Party Massacre 2, I don't think that unrated version ever came out on VHS, but the third one did. The third one got the unrated and the R-rated cuts, but I don't think there was really much difference. But I went on eBay and got this one. So yeah, these are pretty fun. Like I said, also with Scream and such. I do want to do one night where I watch all the Slumber Party Massacre movies. So there you go. And you can't go wrong. It's got Joe Bob Briggs's, recommendation and little review on there. You can't go wrong with that. Those did get re-released later on when Roger Corman got control of all his stuff back. They were called like the Massacre series. For whatever reason, those are very expensive now. I remember seeing those at the video stores and such back in the day, and you could get them for nothing, but now they're super expensive. So, oh well. And then I do have the other Massacre movie that Roger Corman produced. I do have Sorority House Massacre, because I do like this one. Sorority House Massacre 2 was okay, and then the third one was okay as well, but that one, it's called Hard to Die, and they tried to make it like Die Hard. But those were okay. If I ever find them cheap, I'll pick them up. But for now, I'm good with these. But yeah, not too bad. And this is the original Warner Brothers release, actually. I think this one the first two did get re-released as well through Roger Corman when, again, he got control of everything. But like I said, those are pricey. They're very expensive. And I'm not doing all that. Alright, so now I have a couple of the Hellraiser sequels here. So first up, I do have the original, New World Video release. This is the unrated version of Hellbound Hellraiser 2, which was definitely the best sequel. I did have another release of this back in the day, but it was the R-rated cut, so I got rid of that. And then I did get this one, I think, at one of the conventions a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I like that it's red. I think the R-rated cut, I think the color scheme for that was black, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one way that you could tell that they're different. And then I think I got 3 and 4 off of eBay, but I got this sealed, so I can't complain. But it is Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and this is the unrated version, because once again they did do it's resealed because it was a rental, no big deal, but they did do a R-rated cut of this one as well, but I think everything was the same. I just don't think it had the unrated at the bottom there, but fun movie. It is directed by Anthony Hitchcock, so I rest in peace first of all, but I was a fan of his work and it knows what it is. It's a fun B horror movie. You can't go wrong. You got Cenobites shooting CDs out of their head. I mean, come on now, it's pretty fun. And you got uh, Armored Saint and Motorhead on the soundtrack. Come on now, good stuff. And then I do have Hellraiser Bloodline, which I'm not sure. I might have got this one off of eBay as well, but this was the last Hellraiser movie that was really worth it for the most part. I do like Hell World, that's just me. But I know there was a lot of problems with this movie, a lot of issues with this movie. I do have the work print of this on DVD, but it's not bad for what it is. I think this was Adam Scott. I think that this was one of his first movies, if I'm not mistaken. And this was the last Hellraiser to actually have a budget, and they actually cared. So there you go. All right, and then I have these were made by Full Moon made these. They were going to do. They only did 2 movies, sadly, but they were going to do a kind of kid horror line because Goosebumps was really popular at the time, and they were going to kind of market horror movies to kids and stuff. And unfortunately, they only made 2. They only made 2 of the movies here. They were going to start by taking the classic Universal monsters and start with them and then go from there. But again, they only did 2 out of what they wanted. I guess either the money dried up or they didn't do well or what the case was. But sadly, this is all we got. I don't know if these are on DVD or not though. But we have Frankenstein Reborn, horror masterpieces retooled for fans of all ages. So that's what they were kind of going for there. And I think I got both of these off of eBay, if I'm not mistaken. So still haven't watched these. I am really curious to check these out and see how these are. And then we have the Werewolf Reborn, which does have Len Lester, aka Uncle Leo from Seinfeld. Good to have him in there. Loved him on Seinfeld, or Lesser, excuse me, not Lester, Lesser. Always good to have him around. And Jeff Burr actually directed this one, so there you go. I don't think he did not direct the Frankenstein one. Laundry's done. But he did direct this one, which is pretty cool. Who did Texas Chainsaw 3 and some of the Puppet Master movies, amongst others. Another gentleman that sadly passed away. So there you go. So that's all horror for now. We'll get into some more horror later. But let's wrap up the bottom shelf here. So next up, I do have, as previously mentioned, I do have the Disney Spider-Man animated series releases. Finally got all these, some of them back in the collection. So after Disney took over the Saban lineup and Fox Kids and all that, they did the one X-Men VHS that we covered. Hulk got a VHS, which I don't think I have that one. And Spider-Man did, and then the rest, or not the rest, but a bunch of them they put out on DVD. So these also came out on DVD, which I do have. We already covered those in the DVD portion. But I did get these on VHS as well because, again, I cannot stress enough how much I love this show. I think it's better than any of the Spider-Man movies, and it's a classic to this day. People still bring this up, and why it's never come out on DVD or at this point Blu-ray here in America in its complete form is beyond me. I've heard, people over it's the rights. Well, how can it be the rights when Disney owns everything? Disney owns Marvel. Disney bought the Fox Kids line. They bought the Saban line for the most part. They own fucking Spider-Man. So I don't understand what the problem is. Sony only owns the live action movie rights to Spider-Man and the MTV cartoon, which of course they're never going to put out on Blu-ray because they don't give a shit. But Disney owns this show completely. I don't know what the problem is. They put out X-Men, they put out Iron Man, they put out Fantastic Four, but this one the Hulk cartoon from the 90s, the Avengers cartoon from the 90s, the Silver Surfer cartoon from the 90s, Spider-Man Unlimited. They never put any of those out, and they own all this shit. I don't know what the fucking problem is, so oh well, but I can rant all day about that. So they did put out these 5 VHS, and they kind of tied in. They kind of had a theme. So there you go. So we have Volume 1, which is the Ultimate Villain Showdown, which I got this at a Goodwill. I love that they put the sticker right there. They couldn't put the sticker on the side. Oh well. It does not tell you what episodes are on here, but I know it's got some Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Kingpin, because that's what it tells you. And I'm trying to see. So this is 2002. So this came out. I think the first 2 came out. Yeah, the first 2 were '02. So they came out to tie in with the first live-action Spider-Man movie. So there you go. And then we have Volume 2, which is Return of the Green Goblin. So that's why this one tied in. So, and they do have bonus episodes from the 1967 Spider-Man. So, and then Disney also put that one out on DVD in its entirety as well. So they're just fucking lazy. But these 2 I actually had back in the day on VHS because I got them, I think, right when they came out. I think I went to Walmart. I think I had a gift card or money from Christmas or birthday or something, and I bought both of these. So I did have them when I got them on DVD. I got rid of them, but I got them again. So, and I think this one I got off. I think the rest of them I got off of eBay. So there's that. Then we have Volume 3, which is Daredevil versus Spider-Man, because this came out when Daredevil came out. So there's the episodes. I think it's all the episodes with Daredevil, which I think was 3 or 4, and then they just put in another episode to kind of fill out the tape. And then it does have, again, an episode of the 1960s Spider-Man as a bonus. Then we've got Volume 4, Spider-Man vs. Doc Ock, which, of course, this came out when Spider-Man 2 came out in the theaters. So, because Doc Ock was the villain, they tied it in. So, there you go. This one does not have any bonus episodes on here. It's just a bunch of the episodes with Doc Ock as the focus. And then the 5th and final volume, which I think this one is a little bit harder to track down because this was at the end of the VHS cycle, 2005, but I think when I got it pretty cheap. But it's the Venom Saga, which, of course, Venom would be in Spider-Man 3, but Spider-Man 3 didn't come out till a couple years later, so I guess they just kind of got this one out there just cuz. But this has, I think, the 3-part symbiote saga, and then a couple of the other episodes with Venom and Carnage, I think, is in here as well. It's been a while since I watched these, but there you go. So I have all of the Spider-Man animated series VHS tapes that came out here in America, and then the Canadian ones, because I just love this show, and why not? So there you go. Next up, I do have a bunch here of, this is all Ninja Turtles The Next Mutation, and these are studio masters, studio dubs, whatever you want to call them. I think someone that had worked on the show had gotten these. But I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And most of these never came out on VHS, here in America. So there you go. So first up we have East Meets West Part 1, which the label's fallen off. I got to re-glue it. Which did come out because the only VHS that came out here in America was the 5-part East Meets West, just edited together like a movie, which we already covered. Then I got Part 3. And then Parts 4 and 5. So I don't have Part 2. But, again, they were all released as movies. And then the rest of these were, again, never came out on VHS here in America. So we have Staff of Buki, and they're all like filthy, so I guess these were sitting in somebody's garage or something. So when I do go to watch them, I'll have to clean these off a little bit. Then we've got All in the Family. Yeah, I guess they taped over something else because there's a different label on the top there. Then we have Silver and Gold. And this one actually had a slipcover. Turtles Night Out. And then we've got Meet Dr. Queeze and Windfall are the last two here. So, and they're all dated December 97. So again, I assume that these were somebody that worked on the show had these, or someone that was able to get copies of them. So there's that. And then we got some more kind of cartoons and stuff back here. First up, the other volume of Phantom 2040. This is volume 3. This is for Dark Orbit parts 1 and 2, which I got this one off of eBay. So again, I do have all 4. I would like to sit down one night or one day or whatever and watch all of these. But these 2 episodes were not a part of when they did the movie. It's not a part of that. I think it was the first 2, Generation Unto Generation, and I think Ghost in the Machine and Buyout in Red. But then the other 2 volumes, I don't think those ended up in that movie. So we'll see. And then I think it's all of them. I do have all of the Roughnecks Starship Trooper Chronicles on VHS. They only did 4 of these, and I think I got all these. Or no, I got 2 of them. I found 2 at a Goodwill, and then the other 2 I got off of eBay. But they only did 4 out of the 8. Of course, all 8 were on DVD, but they did some on VHS, and I guess either they didn't sell well or they just didn't give a shit like they did when the show was on, because these are 2002, so maybe they were cutting back on their VHS at the time. So we have the Hydora campaign, which has the Goodwill sticker. And then we have the Topit campaign, which again has a Goodwill sticker. So these are the 2 that I got at Goodwill. And then we've got the Pluto campaign. And then the last volume, which is the Tesca campaign. So yeah, I have all. I think again they only did 4 out of the 8 that came out. So there you go. And then I talked about this before, but this is Are You Afraid of the Dark? Terrifying Tales, which is a custom release. Like I said, I bought one, and then I think my brother got me one as a gift, and we didn't know, so we have 2 of them, but that's okay. All good stuff on here. And then there's a couple stickers in the back, but the other one we watched was pretty good. The quality of it was pretty good, and whoever made this added some commercials and promos and stuff in there to fill out the tape, which is very cool. So I think there's 4 episodes on here. So we got the one with Zebo the Clown, the Ghastly Grinner, the one where the monster's in the swimming pool, and I don't remember what the other one was, but those are all on there. And then we've got Goosebumps. Well, sorry, this is Ultimate Goosebumps, which they retitled, I think, the last season, or the last 2 seasons as that. And this is One Day at Horrorland. This is both parts of that. So there's only 2 Goosebumps VHS that I don't have. I don't have Night of the Living Dummy 3 and then Bride of the Living Dummy. So I need to get those. But this came in the shrink, which is cool. And look for General Mills savings inside. You could win a trip to Goosebumps live on stage, which I never got to see that stage show. I'm pretty sure it was cool. I don't know if there's any of that here on YouTube. I would like to see some footage of that if it exists. But there's that. And then got this, I bought something else, and this came with, I think it was Monster Squad. It might have been Monster Squad on VHS. But we have Fangoria's Weekend of Horrors VHS, which is pretty cool. So I think this was I don't know if it was the first Fangoria Weekend of Horror convention, but it was one of the first because it's 1986. So This has never come out on DVD or anything, and it's actually in really good shape too. And it is the SP standard play version, because I think they also released it in an extended play version, which is lower quality, and it is the original kind of style that they did with the flap. I'm not going to take it out though, but yeah, this is again one of the early ones. So there's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to move all of this off, and then we can get to the back, and we'll probably go another 20 minutes or so. I am a little crunched on time today, so if I don't get 3 segments recorded today, it's no big deal. We'll just pick back up tomorrow. And then yesterday, Tuesday, I completely lost Tuesday because Tuesday just blinked and it was over because I slept through most of it, sadly. But oh well. So yeah, let me move this stuff off of here quick, and we'll come back and we'll get through the top row here, about another 20 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap up the top row in the next segment, and then we'll start working in the drawers here. So don't you go changing. Alright, so I pulled everything that was off of the top here except one, because it's a box set, and on the bottom here is all the box sets. So we'll just save that for a little bit here, but I did pull off kind of all the individual movies and such here. So let's just go ahead and we'll jump right back into it. So most of it is horror. There's a couple, actually, yeah, the majority of it is horror, I think, except these 3. Just moving some stuff around, shuffling some stuff around, which of course I will do again, putting all this back. So there you go. But I do have the Substitute sequels, which definitely want to watch these movies soon here. I did watch Substitute 1 and 2, I think a couple months ago, I think in January I watched them on Laserdisc, because the first 2 came out on Laserdisc. So we have Substitute 2, School's Out, which is still sealed. I think I got 2 and 3 off of eBay. I want to say, I know I had, back in the day, I know I had Substitute 1 and 3 on VHS. I'm not sure if I ever had, I might have had 2, I don't remember, but I don't think I ever had 4. I only had, I know it's hard to remember everything. I know for a fact I had 1 and 3. I might have had 2. And then I got them on DVD. And then, of course, we have Substitute 3. Winner Takes All, which this one was always my favorite. Rest in peace, Treat Williams. Forgot to mention that with Deep Rising a little bit earlier. But always really enjoyed Treat Williams, his work. And these movies especially, because I remember these movies were just always on cable back in the day. Whether it was HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, the movie channels, or USA Network used to show these like crazy back in the day as well. So there you go. And then I do have Substitute Failure Is Not an Option, which I did get this at the local mom and pop store when they were going out of business. I think this was the only one that they had, though, left over. Because if they would have had the other 2, I definitely would have grabbed them. I think they only had this one for sale. So there you go. But I would say 4 is my least favorite, but I do like all 4 of them. So, and I know a lot of people always ask me, why did they not bring back Tom Berenger? Apparently, to Tom Berenger, I did read an interview with him a number of years ago. Apparently, he wanted more money to come back for the Substitute sequels, and they said no. So they went with Treat Williams instead. I would have loved if they would have did one more, part 5, and they would have had Treat Williams and Tom Berenger together, but I guess it just wasn't in the cards. But because he said for the Sniper sequels, they paid him what he wanted, but for the Substitute sequels, apparently they did want to bring him back, but he wanted more money, and they said no. It's just the way that it goes. Oh well. Then we got, oh Jesus, at least it's on top here. The first 3 Trancers movies, which are the only good ones. Trancers 4 and 5, I was not a fan of, and then Trancers 6 was fucking terrible. So there you go. But we have, and I always forget that the first one is PG-13 and the sequels are rated R. But we have the first Trancers. which this is the original Vestron release, which is very cool, but quite like the first three I quite like. After that, I don't care. So there you go. Then we've got Trancers 2, The Return of Jack Death. So this is when Full Moon had a deal with Paramount, which I think were their better movies, because after their deal with Paramount expired, then the movies weren't really good anymore, in my book. And then we got Trancers 3, Death Lives. So not much Full Moon. Again, I have those, and I have the Werewolf and Frankenstein Reborn movies, which we already covered. But again, like Puppet Master, I would like to get the first 5, because the first one, but 2, 3, 4, and 5, I did like a Puppet Master. But they're so expensive. And I'll see them in the wild. A lot of the times, though, there'll be screeners, and I don't want the screeners. Excuse me, because I don't really collect screeners anymore, you know. And they got to be in good shape, too. I don't want to pay $75 to get it, and then it's all dicked up, you know what I mean? Next up, we have the Blair Witch Project, which was shot not too far from here, again in Frederick, Maryland, where I will be headed later on today. This one is a Blockbuster rental that they sold, but it was resealed. So I grabbed this one. I think I had another one I found at a Goodwill, but that wasn't a rental. This one was. Yeah, I did pay $20 to get this, I think, at a convention, but it's okay. But I do remember when the Blair Witch came out and people thought it was real and everything. And again, especially around this area, because the movie was shot near here, you know, so people really played up to that, which was funny. Then we've got Van Helsing, which I do overall like the movie. It's not perfect. It has its issues, but overall I do like it. And I did again get this at the local mom and pop, the last one, my video store, which was closing. So there you go. But I do have, we already covered Deep Rising earlier in this segment, and then the Mummy movies. So I have most of the creature feature. I think actually all the creature features that Stephen Sommers did, because I don't think he did anything other than that. So there you go. Next, we have My Best Friend is a Vampire, which is actually pretty fun. I do quite like this movie. I picked it up for $6 at, I think, Creature Feature weekend. So it was cheap. And then when the Vestron Blu-ray came out, I bought it as a blind buy because I'd never seen it. But me and my brother watched it one night, I think not last year, the year before, for Halloween, and we both actually quite enjoyed this. So this is pretty fun. If you've never seen it, it's pretty good. I think it kind of fits in with Once a Bitten because they came out around the same time and they kind of have similar things going on in there, which is pretty cool. And then speaking of vampires, we got some more vampire stuff here. We got the Salem's Lot, the other Salem's Lot VHS that I have. So first up, I do have the full-length mini-series version, which I did have this one before back in the day, but when I got it on DVD, I got rid of it because the other VHS, which we already covered, was the European theatrical version, which at the time was not available. It was only the full-length mini-series, but now that is going to be on the Arrow release, so it's okay. But I wanted to get this one back in the collection because I actually do like Salem's Lot. Then we have the sequel, A Return to Salem's Lot from Larry Cohen. This is a former Blockbuster rental, as you can see, but I do like this. I think it's fun. It's kind of quirky. It's got some, interesting things in it, but I do like it for what it is, so I can't complain. And then I think this was a later release, so late title in the VHS cycle, but this is the first remake that they did for TNT with Rob Lowe, which I actually saw this. I didn't watch it when it premiered, but it did come out on DVD very quickly, so I did see it when it first came out on DVD, try to get the glare off of there. But I actually like this. I do enjoy this. I can't complain. But yeah, I think this is a later VHS release, so this one might be a little bit harder to come by, but still cool to have. That is stuck on DVD. I was kind of hoping that Maybe Arrow would have put it as a bonus feature, or they would have picked it up or something for their original Salem's Lot, but maybe people didn't want them to have it. I don't know. Oh well. Next up, this is pretty cool. I did get this at Retro Replay, but this is Coming Soon, which is kind of one of those old style best of compilation films. I think it's only an hour, if I'm not mistaken. It does not say the running time on the front or the back. Let's look at the tape. Yeah, it's not even an hour. It's only 55 minutes. But Jamie Lee Curtis hosted this because this is when she actually still liked horror movies. But this is a later release. There's another release out there which has some really cool artwork. I do want to get that. Oh, it does say it. It was just covered up by the sticker. But I did find this at Retro Replay. I think maybe the last time I was in there, or one of the last times. I got to get down there soon. It's been a little while since I've been down there. I think I went like right after Christmas was the last time. So there you go. But yeah, it's just kind of a compilation of the old Universal horror movies and stuff. So I think Psycho may be in here as well. But it is actually Mick Garris wrote it. John Landis directed it and wrote it as well, and then it has Jamie Lee Curtis. So again, this is when she still actually gave a shit about horror films, and it does have the original insert here for some of the other Universal horror films. And again, these are the releases that I want to get. These are the early 90s releases, where the Universal Monster Collection or something of that nature. And then on the back is Coming Soon, because a lot of those movies were featured in here. And then there's a box set for Dracula and Frankenstein. So there you go. And what's funny is Universal also did, I think around the same time, Terror in the Aisles, which was hosted by Donald Pleasance. So Halloween 2 had just come out, so I guess they were tying into that. So there you go. Next up, I got this, I think at the flea market, but Dead Heat. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I have quite a lot of fun with it. It is weird to watch it now because Treat Williams passed away, and his character dies and comes back from the dead and everything. But, if you could take that out of the equation, this is a really fun movie. If you have not seen this, check this out. It's a zombie cop movie. It's pretty fun. And then you got Joe Piscopo in there as well. But very fun film, and this is the original New World Video release. I think this was re-released in different capacities. Oh, unfortunately the tape is moldy, so we'll have to take a look at that and see if it'll play or not. But yeah, I just hate moldy VHS. Oh well. Next up, I got this, I think, also at Retro Replay. But we have one of the more underrated 90s kind of horror thriller films, at least in my book. But we've got Disturbing Behavior. I was very happy when I went in there and they had this, because I've been wanting to get this on VHS for a while. But I actually quite enjoyed this film. Hopefully one day the director's cut will leak out, because they did air it on television, but no one can seem to have a copy of it, But hopefully one day that version will get some kind of release, whether it leaks out on the internet or they do a new Blu-ray or what have you. But so much potential for this movie. Of course, the studio ruined it because they're stupid, but I still quite enjoyed this film. Can't go wrong. Good flick. Then I actually got this at a record store. I was down in Baltimore for the day, because I go to the VA down there, and then there's a record store in the city, and they recently started selling VHS, because the last couple times I went in there, they said, oh yeah, we just started selling VHS. I was like, cool. But they did have Ice Cream Man with Clint Howard. Now, it was $40, but if you go on eBay, you're going to pay the same price and more. And it's in really nice shape, so I just said, fuck it, I'll grab it. But Ice Cream Man is fun. I quite enjoy this movie. I do have the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray. But have a lot of fun with this one. I definitely want to watch that sometime soon here. Since, again, the weather is starting to get a little nicer. Hopefully it'll stay that way. But we'll see. And then I do have the Crow Stairway to Heaven Requiem in Memories, which is, I believe, the only other kind of official retail release. But this only came out in Canada. I do have the other one, which we covered previously, but they did get another one. But like I said, this one only came out in our America's evil neighbor to the north, our evil top hat, Canada. So there you go. Well, it was a Canadian series, to be fair, so there's that. I don't know what episodes are on here because it doesn't say, but we'll see when we watch it. So, but I actually really enjoyed that show. I remember watching it when it was originally on, and still like it to this day. It is on DVD, but the DVD has been out of print for quite some time, and it is pretty pricey, so you might have to look around and see if you can find one. Next up, another retro replay or, flea market find, either or, but we have Village of the Damned, the John Carpenter remake, which I do like this movie. It's not the best movie that he ever did. It's certainly not his worst movie, but I do like it. I think it's a pretty good little flick. And sadly, there's that, Baltimore Ease coming out. Sadly, this is one, I think it's actually the last movie that Christopher Reeve did before he got into his accident. So, unfortunately, there's that in there. But Kirstie Alley is in it. Linda Kozlowski, who was married to Paul Hogan at the time from Crocodile Dundee, she's in that movie as well. So it's got a good cast. Meredith Salinger, before she lost her fucking mind and got with Patton Oswalt. So there you go. And then also found The Hitcher, I think at Retro Replay. So cannot go wrong with The Hitcher. Great film. Definitely need to get the Blu-ray for that. Then we've got Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, which I do actually quite like this one. I did see this when it first came out on VHS back in the day. After this, I could really give fuck all. Other than the TV series, I did like the TV series, but Tremors 4 and everything after that, I just could give fuck all about. But I did like Tremors 3 quite a bit, so there you go. And I did get that at the local mom and pop video store when they were going out of business. And then this is a custom release I got off of eBay, but it is the My Bloody Valentine remake, which I actually did enjoy this. It is directed by Patrick Lussier, who did the Dracula trilogy that we covered earlier. Why they never did a sequel to this, I don't know why. I think it did actually quite well in the theaters, but for whatever reason, they never went down that road. But like I said, this is one of those custom releases. They are tricky. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're utter shit. So just being honest, as always. Alright, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock out this last couple here, and then we'll move on to the next segment. So next up we have Sleepy Hollow, which I do quite enjoy this film. Another one I picked up at the local mom and pop store when they were closing her down. But again, always really enjoyed this. Did not see it in the theater when it came out back in the day, but I do remember it coming out, but I did see it when it first came out on VHS back then. And then we've got Underworld, which I do like the first Underworld. First two Underworlds I do like. Everything after... I only ever saw the third one, which was the prequel. I thought that was terrible. I know Kate Beckinsale came back for the last two, but I never checked those out. Maybe I'll check those out at some point. But I do like the first two Underworlds. And again, the first one only came out on VHS. Another one I picked up at the last local mom and pop store. And then we've got Wrong Turn, which apparently this is getting a new Blu-ray, I think from Viavision. And I've never seen this. I'm not sure where I got this. Actually, I did get this at one of the conventions. I did grab this at, I think, Creature Feature for $5. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. I know a lot of people actually quite like this film. But I've never seen it. But for $5, you can't go wrong. But like I said, I believe it is getting a new Blu-ray, so we'll see what's going to be on that Blu-ray, and hopefully I like the movie. We'll see what happens. Then I got this one at, I think, Monster Mania, but this is a TV film that Wes Craven did. This is Summer of Fear with Linda Blair. I got it very cheap, so I don't know much about it or if it's any good or what have you, but it is based on the novel by Lois Duncan, who also wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer, which became a movie. So there's that. And Lee Purcell and Fran Drescher are also in this. So again, we will see what happens. But yeah, I know Wes Craven did a couple made-for-TV movies that kind of don't really get mentioned at all. So we'll see what happens. And then I got this at one of the conventions. Speaking of Wes Craven, we have Cursed. This is the unrated version. I think they also released the PG-13 cut, but I know most people don't like this movie. I like it for what it is. I think it's okay, but I would love to see the original version, which apparently still exists in some form, but they didn't want to put it out on the... Apparently, when they did the Scream Factory Blu-ray, Patrick Lussier, the editor, reached out to them and said, I have... that original cut and what we were able to come up with if you guys want to use it, and apparently they said no to him, so I don't know what's up with that. And then we have the House of Wax remake, which yes, I did pay $50 for it, because this is a later VHS release, and it is, I think, a little more expensive because of that reason, but I did get this at one of the conventions. I found it. I also have it on Blu-ray. And it is a Dark Castle movie. I forgot about that. But I don't think I've ever seen it. So, if I like it, great. If not, I think I can go make $50 somehow. So there's that. Then I got this at the local antique mall. This is Night of Dark Shadows, which I think, if I remember correctly, I believe this is the second Dark Shadows movie. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that they actually, before they did that shitty Tim Burton movie, which I am not a fan of, they did do two Dark Shadows films back in the day, which came out right after the show had ended. Again, I believe this is the second one. I think the first one is called House of Dark Shadows, and that one has Barnabas Collins in it, but he's not in this one. So there you go. So I'll have to grab that at some point. But I did review the two original Dark Shadows movies on the old channel. That was a paid request, and I actually enjoyed both of them. Again, the one that Johnny Depp was in was fucking terrible. It was a joke. It was a parody. So there's that. Next up we have, which again, I don't know where I got this, maybe one of the conventions, but we have The Forsaken, which is an early 2000s vampire movie, which didn't really go anywhere or do anything, but I do like it for what it is. I don't think it's terrible, but not bad. And then I've got Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, which I think I got this at one of the conventions, but can't go wrong with Garbage Day. I would like to get the first one, but again, I'm not paying the ridiculous prices and everything. I think I paid $40 to get this one, but it was better than having to go fight on eBay for it. Then we have the first Final Destination. So there you go. Again, I'm not sure where I got this. Maybe one of the conventions. Again, I'm not entirely sure. Which I do quite like the first one. And then I also like Final Destination 2, which I got this off of eBay. It was not, I think it might have been sealed, and I cut the bottom off, or it was already open and they just do what I do and just cut the bottom of the shrink for the tape to come out. But I do like the first two Final Destinations. I did review these on the old channel. Everything. Final Destination 3 was okay. After 2, that would be the one that I would watch, but after that, I thought they all sucked. The Final Destination was not good. Final Destination 5 sucked, and then the new one that came out, Bloodlines or whatever, was fucking awful with that. The last scene of the movie where the train crashed and they're running away from it. It looks like a fucking superhero movie. But yeah, fuck that movie. Alright, then we have some of the Dead movies here. I already covered Dawn of the Dead. But first up we have the original Night of the Living Dead. I got this at actually a local comic book store. I found this. They were selling some movies in there, so I picked it up. And this is the Blockbuster Classics release because the movie has always been in the public domain for the most part. But this is the variant with the green artwork. The other one, I think it's red, but I wanted this one because I think it kind of fits better. Am I the biggest fan of the original Night of the Living Dead? No, I never was, but I do like it for what it is, and I do respect it for what it did. So there you go. And then I have Day of the Dead, which this is the original release, which has the slip, not the slip, but the little flap that opens up. But I got this, and I think Dawn of the Dead was in there. I got it off of eBay around Halloween because I was wanting to get this one. So there you go. And then I think this one may have been included, or I might have got this separate. I can't remember. But I do have the 1990 Night of the Living Dead, which is the one I prefer, actually. I do really enjoy this movie. And I remember seeing this tape everywhere back in the day. Every Halloween, Walmart, Kmart, they would always have this on sale for like $10 or whatever, and I never got it until recently. So I might have got it with Day of the Dead, because I remember it was Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead was in there, but it was the 2-tape set that I already have. 1990 Night of the Living Dead may have been included in there as well. So yeah, I think it was. I think that was why I got it, because it had both of them. So there you go. All right, and the last two here, because I know we're over an hour, but just wanted to finish these up. I do have the first two Scary Movies, which are the best ones. I don't give a shit about Scary Movie 6. I could really give fuck all. So there you go. But I'm sure it'll make money, and then they'll make Scary Movie 7 and go from there. So we have the bonus edition of the first, which does have scenes that you didn't see in theaters. So there's a little bit of extras on here, which is very cool. I think I may have had the regular release of this at some point. I'm not sure. I don't remember where I got this. And then we do have Scary Movie 2, which again, the first two I really like. Got this at a Goodwill. It's actually from a local Hollywood video. So there's that. Yeah, I'm not sure where I got the first one. Maybe locally, maybe not. I don't remember. Anyway, but that's it for part 24. Part 25, we will wrap up everything that's on here, because back here is all of the box sets and some of the bigger ones. So we'll get that knocked out, and then we'll start working in the drawers here. And then we'll be done. So we're just kind of chugging along, so to speak. But that is it for now. As always, thank you for watching. Most importantly, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys next time in part 25. Later.